So Darwinism definitely challenged what was already believed by people in the society, because we have to understand, or we have to accept, that all the people, or most of the people of then current society, were believers of Christianity. That's why they believed what was there present in the Bible, and what was there in the Bible was actually challenged by Charles Darwin's theory, which is Darwinism. So the impact on society was very much vivid. People could see how two groups were not being able to accept each other's theory. How one group was defending Charles Darwin, whereas the other group was defending their religion and the Bible. So the influence was not only in society, it was also seen in literature. And it was seen that writers explored themes of evolution, nature, and human struggle. Before Charles Darwin, or before we can say Darwinism came to the scene, writers, authors, they did not put much effort in exploring the themes of natural selection or naturalism or realism. But this concept of realism or naturalism started governing the literature after Darwinism appeared. So it is very much to be accepted that how Charles Darwin did not only impact the society, but also it impacted how people were writing during that time. And that's why the literature which came after Darwinism showed us that how actually we are shifting our focus from something very religious to something very logical, or we can say naturalism came. So what is naturalism? Before also I have explained, but it's a very important concept to understand, that naturalism means that nature is governing the universe. It's nature and nature's laws which is governing all of us, and not an entity called God. God was not accepted as nature, but nature is the most powerful entity, or the nature and its laws were all that was governing everyone, controlling everyone. So that is what one very important theme which was seen in the literature which appeared after Darwinism. There are examples of many such texts which actually discuss or which explore such themes. For example, I'll take this example of Thomas Hardy's Tess of the Arbor Wilds. So when reading this text, a reader can easily see the class differences present in the among the characters present in the text. So Tess, the central character of this novel, comes from a very poor background. Financially, she is not stable. Her family is also suffering, as well as she is also suffering. And that's why we can see that social Darwinism, the idea of social Darwinism, is very much present in this text, because till this end of this, or the climax of this novel, or end of this novel, we will not see the rise of this character. The character eventually suffers even more, and she not only suffers, but ultimately she has to accept how she actually has lost all her battles in life. And that is the story of Tess of the Arbor Wilds. There are more such texts, novels present in of that era, where we can see the impact of Darwinism very much is present, and social Darwinism appears as the central theme in such novels and texts. So when we talk about this theory of Darwinism and its impact on society or literature, we cannot deny that there were controversies and criticism also regarding this theory. So when we talk about controversy and criticism, what could it be? So the first thing is that many people had to say that this was against faith and morality. So the main purpose of religion was understood to be that it was, religion is something which has control over morality, or which actually spreads morality. It is something through which people take the moral path. But when Charles Darwin went against religion, then people started feeling that this theory of Darwinism is going against religion, and that's why it's going against morality and faith. So that was the first, or we can say the most important criticism which actually came against this theory of Darwinism. Then misuse in justifying racism and imperialism. So when we talk about social Darwinism, so there were people who were trying to defend this inequalities present in the society, that how all communities cannot be same or cannot be equal. There will always be one community or more than one community who are always going to remain unfit, and if there are people who are suffering due to their poverty or their belonging to a lower class for some reason, if that community is suffering, it was understood by people that they are not fit to survive in this society, and that's why they are suffering. So they were in a way trying to justify the situation that these people are going through this pathetic condition, because that's how it should be, because that is what social Darwinism is. Not every community is same, or not every group of people or every person is fit to survive nicely in this society. So they were trying to justify something which was morally very wrong, and that is another criticism which was faced by Darwinism. And there were ongoing debates in education as well as in religion, which is something which is inevitable. When someone goes against religion, against such a holy book like Bible, then there will be multiple questions coming from the perspective of religion or education, that how to educate the coming up generations, that what to teach them. If religion is not correct, if the morality we had been following since so long is incorrect, then what they should be learning, how they should be going to be moral people. So that's why there were such controversies and criticism which were faced by this theory of Darwinism. So to conclude this, we can say that Darwinism profoundly reshaped human self-understanding, and it influenced not only science but also literature and society as a whole. And it continues to inspire dialogue between science and humanities, which means the connection which is there between science and humanities, science and literature, we have to say that that connection somehow got inspired by this theory. And that's why today we are talking about Darwinism, which is a very biological, very geological, a very scientific theory, and we are reading this theory in the background of humanities, in the background of English literature. So that's all. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Hello everyone. This is Richa Sharma, Assistant Professor, Department of English, USTM. I am here to discuss Darwinism and its impact on English literature and society. When we talk about Darwinism, we have to remember Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin was a naturalist, biologist, and a geologist. Now, when we talk about geology or biology, we are talking about science. But then, why we are discussing English literature in the perspective where science is also involved? And this is a very interesting thing, that humanities or literature is something which is touching other disciplines as well and is being influenced by science as well. Now, when we talk about Darwinism, we have to know what is it and where it has come from. So Charles Darwin, as I said, was a biologist, a geologist, and a naturalist. Gave us a very important theory, the theory of evolution. A very remarkable book, The Origin of the Species, which was published in 1859, was written by Charles Darwin, where he proposed the theory of natural selection. That how nature selects the species who are going to evolve or who are going to survive. And there are species which are going to get extinct gradually. So it is all selected by nature, and when nature governs the universe, this theory is called naturalism. So Charles Darwin proposed this theory that nature actually selects the perfect species who are going to survive, the fit, or we can say fitter than the other species who are going to survive, and there are some species which are going to get extinct with time. So it is a complete science theory. Then why are we reading this theory when discussing English literature or society? So actually, the key concepts of Darwinism involve natural selection, as I have already explained what it is, then variation and adaptation, that how species adapt to their environment, and gradualism and common descents. So these are all very much biological and scientific things or scientific key points of Darwinism. However, it influenced literature and society in such a remarkable way that we can still feel that change or transformation in literature when we go through the history or when we read the texts which came before Darwinism and which appeared after Darwinism. Interestingly enough, it impacted society. How? It challenged traditional religious beliefs and creationism. Now, what is traditional religious belief or creationism? When we talk about creation and when we talk about these Western societies, or if we talk about England or British English, we have to think about Christianity and Bible. So Bible says that at first Adam and Eve were created. They were the first human beings who were created. And from Adam and Eve only, we all have come. We all have descended. But then again, it was actually against what Charles Darwin was trying to say. According to Charles Darwin, the species which survived or which were living during that period of time, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, were not human beings. So it challenged what people were believing while following this religion of Christianity or while following the Bible. So definitely it went against religion and creationism. So there was this appearance of groups in the society where one group is following what religion had to say or the Bible had to say. On the other hand, there was another group which was following what Charles Darwin was saying with logic and proof. So there came this impact on society. The society got divided into two groups. Next, it did not only spark a debate on science and religion, but it also influenced social theories like social Darwinism. So there appeared another group of people who tried to say that Darwinism is not only a theory of science, but it can also be felt or also be noticed in the society, and that is called social Darwinism. So when we ask how or what is social Darwinism in a way tries to say that in a society only those who are fit, those groups, communities or financially very stable communities are those actually who are fit to survive, and that's how they survive and go to the top eventually. On the other hand, there is another group who are always facing problem. They are not actually fit to survive, so they can never climb the ladder of success. So this is what social Darwinism say, that there will always be a group which is not that fit to survive, and that's why they suffer. That is what social Darwinism actually try to defend. It changed perspectives on human nature and progress, definitely.